Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. We have a really fun video to film today. We will be ranking each manager post Sir Alex Ferguson that has been in charge of Manchester United, and we will be ranking them from 7 to 1, 7 being the worst and 1 obviously being the best. We will be ranking David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ralf Rangnick, Ten Hag and Amorim. We will be leaving Sir Alex Ferguson out of it for obvious reasons, being that he is not rateable. He is the best manager of all time, let alone the best Manchester United manager. So we will be leaving Sir Alex out of it. Before we start the video, if you haven't done so already, please take this opportunity to like, comment and subscribe. It really helps this channel grow, and I am overwhelmed by the growth that we've had already since starting. So thank you for that, and again, if you can, please do subscribe, like and comment on the video. Just interact as much as possible. I would really appreciate it. So what we're going to do is we are going to run through each manager individually. We're going to have some stats. We're going to have the how many games they played, how many games they've won, how many games they drew, how many games they lost, goals for, goals against and goal difference, with their win percentage as well, because I think stats don't lie. What can't speak can't tell lies. So we will go like that. So obviously we will start then with David Moyes. Probably the shortest tenure. I think he is shorter than, well, he's only a few 20 games or so more than Ralf Rangnick, who was an interim manager. So that says a lot about the tenure that David Moyes had. So we'll start with David Moyes. In total, David Moyes played 51 games as Manchester United manager. He won 27 of them, drew 9 of them and lost 15. In terms of that then, we'll speak about that. Having played 51 and winning 27, I know winning 27 games is probably not a lot, but playing 51 I feel is quite a lot. The win percentage is quite high. He wasn't in charge for very long at all. In them 51 games, under David Moyes, we scored 86 goals, we conceded 54 goals, and we had a positive goal difference of 32, with the overall win percentage being 52.94%. So David Moyes won 52.94% of his games, and right now that feels like that's not terrible. I think he was always set up to fail. Moyes was always set up to fail because of who he was replacing. Replacing Sir Alex Ferguson is never ever going to be easy. It's an impossible job. You've come to a team that's used to winning everything, that even with the team I feel wasn't as good as we've had in previous years, was still managed to win the league under Sir Alex Ferguson. So I just feel like Moyes was kind of set up to fail, and it probably was a little bit of a too big of a job for him at the time, and we were never going to transition well as a fan base or as a club. Players who have played under the same manager for a long time, players who were brought in under Sir Alex Ferguson, was never going to transition very well, in my opinion. So yeah, I feel for David Moyes, but it is what it is. Would I take David Moyes back now? Probably not. So do I think that he's proven to us since leaving United that he could have done the job if we were given him a little bit longer? Probably not. So yeah, David Moyes, 52.94% wins, positive goal difference of obviously 32. With that being in 51 games, I feel is quite impressive. Goals against is only 54, so he's averaging maybe a 1.2 goals per game, 1.1, 1.2 goals per game. So not terrible, but again, coming from the situation that he was managing in, was set up to fail. Louis van Gaal in charge of Manchester United for 2 years exactly. So Louis van Gaal came to us in the month of May in 2014 and left us in the month of May in 2016. Whilst he was with us, we played 103 games. He won 54 of those games, drew 25 of those games, and lost 24 of those games. In the 103 games that he was with us, he scored, well, he didn't score, but the team scored 158 goals, only conceded 98, and had a positive goal difference of 60 goals. 60 goals, positive goal difference, a win percentage of 52.43%. So again, more games, obviously, than David Moyes. I feel like he's the one that could have worked out. His style of play could have worked for us. Again, difficult period coming from David Moyes. Again, not long after Sir Alex again, the same year. So yeah, very difficult for him. 2 years in charge, so he got a fair go at it. Win percentage is, again, positive. Anything over 50% is positive, but probably not enough for Manchester United at that point. You want to be winning 60 to 70% of your games, and the only note that I would probably take from that is the goal difference. The goal difference is plus 60 in 2 years. Is that good? So that's, let's cut it down the middle. That's 30. It's a plus 30 of each season. I know that's not accurate as to what it would be, but we'll cut it straight down the middle on an average. It's not terrible. Goals against is probably what's killed him there. 98 goals against, and the 24 losses, I imagine, is what's killed him there again. But again, very similar with David Moyes, is very difficult periods for any manager to come into. I think probably the most dominant period that our fan base would be at. So any kind of manager is set up to fail there, really, unless you can get immediate results, which is very difficult to come in as a manager and do. So yeah, not terrible, but not great. Again, when you look from this point of view, when you look back at that now, you really do think, wow, these weren't so bad. But is that because we've become accustomed to that now as Manchester United fans, which is obviously a bad thing? We should never rely on just, our win percentage is 50%. That's not where we want to be as a team. We want to be winning most of the games we play. So I can see why he wasn't in charge of Manchester United for any longer than 2 years with a win, with the results that he was bringing in. Next, then, taking over from Louis van Gaal, we have one of the most prolific managers of all time, I would imagine. He will go down in history, I feel, as a very successful manager. He will go down at the moment as one of Manchester United's most successful managers since Sir Alex Ferguson. We have Jose Mourinho, who came in immediately after Louis van Gaal was sacked in May 2016 and managed till December 2018. It's never a nice thing when a manager is sacked during the season, especially around Christmas, because of the demand of games, etc. But some stats for Jose Mourinho then. Jose Mourinho played a total of 144 games for Manchester United. We won 84 with him in charge, drew 32 and lost 28. This is where it gets very interesting, because this is easily our highest goals for since Sir Alex had left, and that is in 144 games. We scored 244 goals with Jose Mourinho in charge, which is very, very impressive in terms of what we were used to at that point. So at this point, we've been without Sir Alex Ferguson for 5 years. So in 5 years, this is the highest goals that we've scored, highest amount of goals we've scored under one manager. Goals against was only 121. So if you think Van Gaal played less games and had little goals, like he had, how do I word this? The goals scored against us with Van Gaal weren't far off the goals scored against us with Jose Mourinho, and Jose Mourinho had substantially more games in charge. So I think things were starting to pick up, and we had some good results. We obviously had some good finishes. We finished second in the league with Jose Mourinho, and he still says to this day that is one of his biggest achievements as a Manchester United manager. I think just because of the massive job that he had on his hands, and we all know how difficult that was for him. And I think the issue with him and where it all went wrong was he was so obviously not backed by the board. The players that he wanted to bring in, we couldn't bring in at that time, when they weren't bringing in the players that he wanted to. Whether they didn't trust in him or whether they didn't trust in the process at all, I'm not quite sure, but I feel like it is a shame that he did leave us. Jose Mourinho then has the highest win percentage, spoiler alert, of any of the managers that we've seen so far, with 58.33%. And you could still argue that's not enough from what we were used to. That's not enough from what we expect, but that is a damn lot better than one we've had since, and two that we had before him after Sir Alex. So you could argue, I think, arguing stat wise, he's probably the least deserved to get sacked, and based on his profile as well. Very successful manager. I feel like he should have, if you could look back from, in hindsight's a wonderful thing, if you could look back from now and see the managers and see the differences, on paper you would probably keep him in charge. Whether that's the right or the wrong thing to do, we don't know, but what we have seen, from what we have seen in recent years, he was not all that bad, and he had experience to back it up, and he had the, how can you say, he had the bark and the bite. He's a top manager, and he would have been recognised as one in the dressing room as well. So that is Jose Mourinho again. Next, we have a Manchester United legend, someone who will always go down fondly in all of our memories for being a player and somewhat being a manager. Probably the most attractive football we've played since Sir Alex Ferguson. We have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think this was a very tough period for all of us in the bad times, but probably the best period we've had in terms of the football that we've played, the signings that we made. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer brought in Bruno Fernandes. We've had some very memorable, very memorable times under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in December 2018 when Jose Mourinho left, only initially as an interim period. But we all fell in love with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We fell in love with the game. We fell back in love with Manchester United. He left in November 2021, having played 168 games as a manager. He won 91 of those, drew 37 of those games, and lost 40. So them stats then, not as good, I don't think, over a longer period as Jose Mourinho. It's getting quite clear to see the pattern emerging here, is that when you get over that 140, 120, let's say, game period, it then substantially starts getting a lot harder as a manager. I think that's when the real cracks start to show, when the difficulty really starts to up the ante, and when the pressure comes in from the fans, and I guess from the board, when the board starts saying, no, you're not getting this player, you are getting this player, they start getting involved and dictating how the club is run. So we can start to see the pattern emerging there. But under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer then, we scored 308 goals, which is a lot of goals in 168 games, which I think we can all remember those goals. We can all remember the big results. We can all remember the bad results, because we had some heavy defeats under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well, which tells in the goals against was at 183 goals against. But we had a positive goal difference of 125 and a win percentage of 54.17%. So yeah, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be up there, of course, in the rankings. He will always be remembered, I feel, if things carry on the way they are. It was a very tough period, I would say, having to kind of pull back. It's like how can I describe what it was like seeing the difference or the downfall of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? It was like when you have a dog, right? And your dog is, you and your dog are like the best of friends, and you see this dog, you see them have good times, you see them have bad times, they're annoying, they're great, they're the best thing ever. And then you see that getting older and older and older, and you know that eventually it's going to come to an end. And yeah, probably a little bit negative, but that is genuinely what it felt. It was really sad, that situation of him moving on towards the end, but it was probably at the time felt like the right thing to do. Looking back now, was it the right thing to do? Was he the man to take us where we need to be? Again, probably not, but have we had a manager with the relationship with the fans and relationship with the players as good as him? We haven't as of yet. So that is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Again, the awful period of that, which will really negatively impact the rating that we're going to give Ralf Rangnick, is because he was, I feel like this is a really up and down situation. So it was a bit of a shock to us all when he came in as an interim manager. I liked him. I thought it was a breath of fresh air, because we could argue when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was in charge, he was just in love with Manchester United. He was happy to be there. We all knew that. We all knew that he wanted that job. This was his dream job. If he could have it his way, he would never leave the job. And if you're in that position and you've got something to lose, you have got something to lose. I know every manager in theory has something to lose, but Ole wasn't any other manager. He had an emotional attachment to the club, which I think is why he struggled so much to be honest about the situation that he was in. It was obvious that what we needed in that team at the time. It was obvious the changes we needed to make, the players we needed to bring in, and stuff we needed to change. And he couldn't quite give us that honesty, I feel, that we all demanded at the time, because he was so in love with the club that he didn't want to out the owners or out the system and shed a dark light, let's say, on the club. So that was what was frustrating for us. And then when Ralf Rangnick came in, he was told, or I don't know, he's an honest manager, he's an honest guy, he has nothing to lose. This is only a short period that he comes in for, and I think his honesty was really refreshing for us, and I will never look back on that period as a bad one, even though it was a bad one. It was a really horrible period because of everything that went on at the time with the team and our results and how everything negative, how negative everything felt then. I won't look back on that period as bad, because although it was rubbish to sit and learn that, yeah, our club is really broken, and someone's come in and he's seen that and he's actually said to us, this is not just, oh, there's a few issues. This is massive. Like, there are massive issues in this club, which I think we all knew deep down, but none of us wanted to admit to ourselves. So that's why I won't look at his tenure as a bad thing. I will see it as he was honest with us. We couldn't ask for much more than that from him at the time. And it was a breath of fresh air. We weren't used to that with Ole, and it was nice to get that from a different manager. So under Ralf Rangnick then, he came in November 2021. He then stayed with us till May 2022. So again, similar to Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho left in December of 2018, and Ole left in November of 2021. So he didn't quite make that Christmas period. And he wasn't long after the summer at all. Didn't even get the January transfer window. So under Ralf Rangnick, we played, and he was in charge of us for a total of 29 games. We won 11 with him in charge, which is awful. We drew 10 and we lost 8. We scored 37 goals with him in charge, so not terrible. We conceded 37. Terrible, and we had a positive minus goal difference of neutral 0. So again, not great at all. Really difficult period for us, and we had a lot going on as a fan base. So yeah, Ralf Rangnick had a win percentage of 37.93, so our lowest since Sir Alex Ferguson. So take that from what you will, and I'm sure that that will affect his manager rating. So after Ralf Rangnick, we had the joys of Erik ten Hag, a very controversial manager in terms of people's opinions on him. Really nice guy, really like caring manager, I thought. He joined us in May 2022 and left us in October 2024, which is the earliest in the season a manager has left us. He played a total of 128 games. We won 70 of those with Ten Hag in charge, drew 23 of them, and we lost 35. We had a goals for of 217, a goals against of 165, and a goal difference of positive 52, with an overall win percentage of 54.69. So I think there, obviously, the issue with Ten Hag was the losses. 35 losses in 128 games is not good enough, really, is it? If he could have balanced that out a little bit more, I feel like it would have been okay. He obviously won us an FA Cup, and I haven't really spoken about the cups. Obviously, we've had Jose Mourinho brought us the first cup since, well, if you would count the Community Shield with David Moyes, but I think that was probably, we're not going to count that because I think that's a bit of a pity cup. Yeah, so Ten Hag won us an FA Cup, which was very memorable. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer obviously got us to a Europa League final, and Ten Hag won us a League Cup as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so Ten Hag, I think, was a difficult period. It was the first manager we'd actually gone and got for a while, because obviously we had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who came in as an interim, and that story just tells in itself. So it felt like he had a good reputation at Ajax. He was a good manager, he's proven. Obviously he was manager of Bayern Munich as well for a period. So he's proven he's got the CV for this club, sorry. And yeah, it was definitely a manager it was worth taking in. He played in a similar sort of style as we were used to. The downfall of him, again, I think, is the signings that he made. He would only really sign players that he trusted. Some were good, some were bad, but the losses there, I think, were the detriment of Erik ten Hag. And finally, we have our current manager, Ruben Amorim. I filmed this after the Manchester United against Liverpool fixture, but I have the stats from before. So I haven't got the stats since that game, and it feels like I'm probably going to be a little bit biased on that result now because it's happened. But Ruben Amorim came to us then in November 2024 and obviously manages us to this present day. He has played 50 games up into these stats. 50 games, won 19 of them, drew 12 and lost 19 of them. Obviously that's a terrible ratio there. So we have won as many as we have lost, and then we add the draws onto those as well, which takes his win percentage down to 38%. So not quite as low as Ralf Rangnick, but Ralf Rangnick was an interim manager. He wasn't there to stay. Nobody wanted him to stay, and he didn't want to stay himself. Which is concerning for us right now, that Ruben Amorim is supposed to be our long-term project manager, but I guess I would rather him. We've got to look at the positives in this situation, I feel. We've got to look at the positives in Amorim. We've got to have a look at the positives of Amorim's background and the type of manager he is. He wants to come in and get down and dirty really quick. He doesn't want this new manager bounce. Well, look at me for a year or 2 years. He would rather get all the ugly out first, and then we'll see where we are in 2 years' time. I think it'll be really interesting to see where we are in 2 years' time. Obviously, we are nearly a year into his management now, and it feels like we have at times hit rock bottom, but then it feels like at times we've really improved. So I think it's still too early to tell how he will get on, but it is somewhat refreshing that maybe we can get this ugly out first, and then we'll see where we're at in a year or two's time. Obviously, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has come in that time as well, and he has shown nothing but support to Ruben Amorim, which I do think is a good thing, because he needs to know that he is supported by his employers, and Ratcliffe is not going to make any rash decisions. He's not going to have an emotional effect on whether he stays in charge of us or not. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. It's still too early to tell for me. A lot of people, I'm sure, are fed up of him. I just want to do what's best for United, and if that means keeping him in and then eventually we will come good, then I'm happy with that. If it means we get rid of him and we get someone else in, then I'm happy with that. But I don't know what the right thing to do is, and I don't think anyone does. So I'm not going to have an opinion on whether he should stay or whether he should go. I'm just going to support the club and see what happens, and I obviously want the best for my team. So since being in charge then, goals for, we've scored 78 goals with Ruben Amorim in charge, and we have conceded 76. So obviously that is not good at all. I think it's a little bit of both. We are conceding too many goals and not scoring enough. Water is wet. I know that seems really silly to say, but we haven't quite grown into that yet where we can score as many as we would like, and we're obviously in that rough period where we're conceding probably too many goals. We have a positive goal difference of 2 as it stands in these stats, so at least it's not 0 with Ralf Rangnick. So yeah, there we go. They are the stats, and a little brief chat about each manager, I guess. From my point of view anyway, I'd love for you guys to get involved in the comments and let me know what you think of them, and then we will move on to the rank. So I have ranked them written down already. I have got them in line, but I think I'm going to change my last ranking. My number 1 is set on somebody. I'm going to change it. I will tell you who my original one is, and then I will so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you my actual rankings, and then I'll tell you my original number 1 and explain to you why I picked that number 1 originally. But in 7th place, probably no surprise to anyone, but I have ranked Ralf Rangnick as my last place. So in my opinion, Ralf Rangnick was the worst manager statistically and memory-wise that we've had. There has been good points to his tenure as well. Obviously, I'm not going to forget that we had a lot of honesty from him, and it was never going to end well with Ralf Rangnick. So Ralf Rangnick is my worst rated manager since Sir Alex Ferguson, and in 6th place, unfortunately, just down to the really difficult period that we've had, and the stats really aren't great, and the results haven't been what we've wanted, and I hope that it can improve. But right now, my 6th manager in charge at the moment is Ruben Amorim, and I know that sounds awful because he's in charge of us currently, and I did have him in there before the Liverpool game. He's probably number 1 there for me now instead, but no, I can't judge it based on emotions. But right now, this is probably the worst we've been from a manager. I really do hope that it changes, and if it does, then happy days. If it doesn't, he will probably stay that low rated. But after Ruben Amorim, in 5th place, I've got David Moyes. I'm not going to go too much into that. I think David Moyes, yeah, 5th place for David Moyes. 4th place, I have gone Louis van Gaal, because I think that he didn't win anything, and Ten Hag did. And it was a great day that Ten Hag gave us at that point, and there was really good times with Ten Hag. So I'm going to put Louis van Gaal in 4th, and I will put Erik Ten Hag in 3rd, just purely down to the wins that we had under him. That City FA Cup game, I think, will really go down in my personal fond memories of Manchester United, and yeah, I think the potential was there for him. It was just, he was very trusting of the wrong players, I feel, at times. So Erik Ten Hag in 3rd place for me. Now this is really where it comes down to it. In 2nd place, I am going to go with, I think this will be controversial, I really do, but I am going to go with Jose Mourinho in 2nd place, purely because of the emotional side of it. He's done what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did as a Manchester United manager. I feel grabbed us a lot more than Jose Mourinho, and we knew that he had the love for the club, and Jose Mourinho is very blasé sometimes, I feel, about the emotions of a team, and just purely because Jose Mourinho has a tendency to, he's managed in my opinion, enough Premier League teams. I don't get that Manchester United is a special club to him. I just get that a job is a job type thing, and it's more my personal opinion that I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a better manager for us, because he felt how we feel. He was more emotionally involved in us as a club, and he gave us some great times as well, some great memories, and he's probably more, I think he'd be a lot of people's favourite manager since Jose Mourinho, and from my memory, he played the most attractive football since Sir Alex. So my number one manager is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But please do let me know what your number one manager is. Who's your worst manager? Who's your most underrated manager? Who's your most overrated manager? I know there's not been many that have been overrated, but please do let me know. Is Ruben Amorim deserve to be the 6th on here? Does he deserve to be higher up? Does he deserve to be rock bottom? Please do let me know what this video is about. I'm trying to get as much engagement out of you guys as possible, because I really do enjoy it. But I will leave it there. So my number one manager for Manchester United is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and my worst rated manager for Manchester United was Ralf Rangnick. Let me know what your best and worst managers were. Give me some reasons why. Go into as much detail as you possibly want to or can, and I will see you at the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.